The following is a Podbeard production.
From the deepest bowels of your imagination.
Actually, he's from Canada there, bud.
From the famed Hotter Show Studios, this is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We are rolling out of here today on episode 215 of The Hotter Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I have a kick-ass episode for you here today, guys. I try to every single week here on The Hotter Show. I sit down with my brother, Matt Stock, who is the president of Mean Tactical. And we have a killer chat talking about the upcoming Fight for Sick Kids event that is happening June 15th, as well as all other things paintball, how he got into the sport, kind of some funny stories about his early start into the sport itself of paintballing, kind of the community. He also talks, of course, about Mean Tactical, and you bet your bottom dollar we also talk about Mean Beard and some of the funny things he deals with having such a gloriously long beard while playing paintballing, as well as paintballing at night. It's just really cool. I literally know nothing about paintballing, or I should say knew nothing about paintballing. So it was a lot of fun for me to talk to somebody who's so passionate about it and has so much respect for it and just loves to inform people about it. Because I really feel it's one of those things that I thought maybe the community might be a bit more snobby, I guess. But from what he told me, it is the exact opposite. So that's very cool. And I'm very excited to get into that. But before we do, I want to thank everybody for their support on last week's episode of the show. My chat with Jan Murphy definitely was a spectacular podcast. And doing the giveaway was a lot of fun. My dudes Jordan and Luke won the tickets to Chinlock 5 that is happening this weekend on the same day actually as the Fight for Sick Kids. I'm super excited about that. Keep it locked to the Hotter Show Facebook, Instagram for updates while I am at the Legends Convention as well as Chinlock 5. You will be rest assured that I'll be probably throwing up pictures. I may even do a live once I'm there. Haven't decided yet, but be sure to keep it locked there. The Hotter Show on Facebook and Instagram. Probably Facebook more than Instagram, you know, but if you are following me on Twitter, you can pretty much be rest assured you're not going to see anything on Twitter. I'm kind of over Twitter. I had someone ask me the other day, how come you're not putting yourself up on Twitter anymore? Twitter just sucks. Let's move on to a much more interesting topic, and that is my friends and fine sponsor here on The Hotter Show, Seat Giant. Now, if you guys are looking for tickets for any kind of a concert event, sporting event, theater event, maybe even the family event, you do not need to look any further than seatgiant.ca or .com. You go on there, search for the event that you want, or if you're not sure as to what's coming to town, they also have a listing of everything that is coming to your area, so you don't need to worry about if you're thinking, I kind of want to go see a concert, who's coming to town? Seat Giant has you covered. On top of that, they also have a great layout and a super easy to use dashboard. So you can find your tickets, find the price that you want to pay, whether you want to be right where the action is, right front row, or you want to be up in the nosebleeds to save a little money, but you still want to be at the event. On top of that, they also have a 100% money back guarantee when you provide proof from the venue that there was an issue, whether your ticket didn't scan or the event was canceled. They will give you your money back because Seat Giant know how important these events are to you and they care about you, their customer. They don't want you to feel like you ever got ripped off. And that's something, as someone who's been ripped off in that kind of situation before, it sucks. And on top of that, if you go on right now, either to .ca or .com, depending on where you are listening from, and you use the coupon code PODBEARD, that is PODBEARD, PODBEARD, all one word, you'll save yourself a little something at checkout, and your friends here at the Podbeard Network will also get a little kickback. Seat Giant, they just don't sell tickets, they sell experiences. And with that, we're ready to roll into this podcast here today. My chat with Mr. Matt Stock of Mean Tactical. Let's get into it. Hey, so I have zero experience in the paintball world, which is why I'm super excited for my guest at this time. I've been wanting to get him on here for a little while, so I'm super excited about it. He has a very awesome event coming up on June 15th, which is the Fight for Sick Kids. We will, of course, talk about that in full. Ladies and gentlemen, right now joining me on the show, we have the president of Mean Tactical, Matt Stock. Matt, how you doing today, brother?
Hey, how's it going, brother?
Good. Well, it's awesome to hear that you're doing good, man, because I know that for people who know you, you had a little bit of a scary incident happen just literally a few days ago. I shot you the message. I'm like, hey, man, you doing all right? Are you feeling okay heading into the event next weekend?
Oh, yeah, I'll be good now. Yeah, everything checked out. Nasty car crash, but, it happens. Sometimes you get brake checked and, you don't stop in time, so... All good though. I'll be good by then. Yeah. You can't do a charity event for a hospital if you don't spend a little time in the hospital. I was researching.
Yeah, of course. You're just doing the, it's like, I can read some statistics and I can kind of read about stuff online. But what's better than just going to the actual hospital yourself and checking it out and seeing what's going on?
Yeah, put in a good 10 hours and, check out how it goes.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that was definitely a nasty crash. So I'm glad you're okay. I was worried about it when I saw that. I went, "Oh shit!" I hope that hope we're able to still do the show.
Yeah, it's go big or go home. So I put it over a couple lanes. It was not that great.
Well, at the end of the day, you're okay. So that's that is the main thing. But I want to ask you a few things today about kind of the world of and the sport of paintballing, because as I said, I know literally nothing about it aside from like, okay, there's these balls that are paint and you shoot them at people. And that's pretty much the extent of I know they hurt if you're not wearing gear because I've been shot by paintball guns before. But other than that, I know literally nothing. So I want to ask about that. And then obviously we're going to talk about the event, but just kind of jumping into it, how did you get into the world of paintballing?
Well, I used to play when I was I don't think it was 14 or something. We used to just mess around in the creek with a couple pump guns, and then I stopped playing for a while. It just wasn't a thing, I guess, at that time. We were more into biking and BMX stuff like that. But it was actually it was my wife that got me back into it, of all things. It was pretty funny. She had a birthday, and there was, I guess, a paintball place nearby, and she wanted to go, so that's what we did. And then I guess that relit the fire because me and my buddy were like, all right, we're back. We're getting into this again. When we went to the place, they had if you rent masks, they're always scratched up. You can't see, they fog. So we were like, we got to go get our own gear and we're going to go do this right. So that's what we did. And when we went to one of these big events, and it just grew from there. Now we just got a massive team of 40 plus people, and it's just it's a huge thing. It's crazy. The camaraderie and everything is just great. So that's what it's like a huge camping event. You get to shoot your friends while you're there. So it's pretty awesome.
Well, and that's what's fun about it is because I know a few people in my life who paintball and that, and I always say to them, what's the appeal of this? Is I guess the bitch in me, if you will, where I'm so let me get this straight. You're going to take a gun and you're going to shoot me with a little ball and it's going to explode. And then I'm out. Yeah, pretty much. I'm what happened to we could just play tag or something or it's...
Yeah, so you don't get the adrenaline though, right?
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true.
The adrenaline's where it's at. We do gauntlet runs and stuff like that where they just line up and they just shoot straight and you run through it of 20 guys just unloading balls and you just run through a rope of paint. And when you get to the end, surprisingly enough, you're I'm going to run back through that again. Let's go again. You'll talk about it the entire weekend. It's hilarious. The stories around a campfire after a day of paintball. It's awesome.
That's awesome to hear because I know that it's that camaraderie that is another thing that a lot of people are drawn to, and I know just from since I've kind of been following you on Facebook and that, I'll see all the different types of events you go to, and there's seems to be so many different types of, I guess you call them scenarios from what I understand, where there's kind of different, it's not like every game is okay, there's a couple of us and a couple of you, and that's that, or it's a free for all. Walk me through what is kind of some of the different types of games that you'll have in kind of the basic paintballing.
Well, for us, we're more of like a scenario-based team. There's a lot of like speedball teams. That's where you see like or it's more like it used to be televised all the time as well. But it's more like the blow-up bunkers. So they'll go around and do that and get their points and stuff. But we're more of like scenarios. So we're dressed like army guys and we're out there shooting. It's like a huge field. There's buildings to go through and all that stuff. It's like the big game events or whatever you'd call it there. But yeah, so we're more scenario. So the games would be like, well, we play them. They're like mostly all weekend. So you'll do the first game all day. Normally no breaks. You take your breaks whenever you need to. But you go out, you shoot, you taking over slapsticks, capturing land to build up points. And then there's missions, escort missions, all that kind of stuff where you have to get things to certain places. And so it's however the organizer does the scenario. So it always changes. But the place I normally play out in Picton, it's a massive military base that turned into a sane asylum or hospital. But yeah, so the place is massive. There's 3-story building, warehouses, another 2-story building, and then like all the stuff around, all the bunkers around the place. So you could play outside the entire time, or you could be inside the whole time. I've been there for the whole weekend and never been in the building. Or I went another weekend where I've never may even go outside. You just get like lost in all the stuff there is to do, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially like an atmosphere like that. Like you said, it used to be an insane asylum, or
Yeah.
That would be just like I see all these different areas, and I'm just like, oh, that would be cool. Like there's it's like Outback Paintball or something just down the road from me, and it's all open field and that something. I could see why that would be kind of a fun, cool thing to do, but that sounds just that sounds pretty sweet to me. That's
because there's the woods ball fields, and then there's like because we do a lot of that as well, and the scenarios are out through the woods or whatever. But this place that we go to, it's kind of like a mix of all of it. So you can go do woods ball there, but there's also all the buildings, so it's more like tactical and stuff. You have to be. But I mean, there's guys with riot shields, smoke grenades. There's medics running around. Because you don't have to normally when you get shot, because I'm not sure how many times you've been, but it's like unlimited lives, or depending on the game, sometimes you only get a couple lives, but those are on smaller fields. Big game events, it's you die, you got to go to respawn. Once you touch your respawn place, you go back out to the field. Like unless you get a headshot, the medic can't save you. But anytime you get shot, you can call for a medic, and some guy will come running across the field, dodging paintballs, just to wipe off your hit, and you're back in the game. So it's pretty crazy. And I mean, that guy, he's dodging a lot of paint to get to you, so his adrenaline just stacks. So when he finally wipes you off, I mean, he's happier than hell, so it's hilarious.
That would be just a crazy thing to do, just to watch the medic the whole time. Just like,
oh yeah,
watch that guy. So like, would he potentially, and there's a few things you touched on that I do want to ask about, but so like, for example, with that medic, is he strictly a medic, or like is he like? 'Cause I'm assuming like he's on that person's specific team. So would he also then like be trying to take guys out, or is he strictly a support player, so to speak?
Yeah, you normally want to keep them back because I mean they can kill the medics, right? So, I mean, but they do it. They have their guns and all that too. So or their markers. They run out and they're out there shooting as well. But yeah, you want to keep them back, normally behind a shield guy or something.
Keep them behind the juggernauts with the shields and the and the spiked skull clubs and all that crap. But talk to me about, because like when I think of paintballing myself personally, like I see like the basic, like I guess it's a CO2 gun, correct? Is like just like the basic rifles they use.
Yeah, they switched off of CO2. Now they just use air. So
okay, so that's how out of it I am. Like last time I checked, it was CO2, and that could have been years ago at this point. But talk to me about like some of the different types of kind of armaments that you would use in kind of your basic paintball games.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Just like because I know that I'll see guys with like say like full on rifles, and I'll see guys with like kind of like a pistol type gun or like a SMG type thing. Just kind of run me through like kind of some of the basic weapons you would see in a paintball game like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much all custom. I've seen guys like redo total like old World War II guns and everything to like total replica. I mean, they're running around with like a 50-pound marker just because it looks awesome, right? But then there's guys out there with like $2,000 speedball markers, and then, I mean, they're just shooting ropes of paint super fast. I mean, it gets expensive quick when you do that, right? So a lot of guys, they switch over to the pistols because, I mean, you're reserving ammo, right? So they do all the mag feds, so they have all their mags all in their vests. They're more like the military style milsim guys, as opposed to the guys who have like 2 cases of paint on their back with their belt, right?
Yeah, the guys
unloading 500 paintballs at you as they're dumping in another 250 or something.
Jeez, and it's just
Yeah.
Whereas the other guys, obviously, they need to be a little bit more tactical as far as, you know, they have less shots, but they're going to be a little bit more reserved on how they fire at you, I would assume.
Yeah, like a pistol player is going to get close because, I mean, they're not going to hit the distance the rifles do. So, I mean, a pistol player is going to get close, and he's probably going to have some sort of melee weapon, like how I normally run too. If you've seen the pictures, I normally run the shield and the club. So, I mean, and then I got the double pistols on me just in case I have to fire back if someone's trying to chase me.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was literally going to ask, because there's a picture of you that, I mean, listen, if I'm on a paintball field and I see you running at me with your beard hanging out of your helmet, spiked helmet, you've got your shield, and then you've got this freaking skull club. Like, I'm going to be like, yo, I'm out. Like, what is the purpose of the club? Like, I mean, are you like literally hitting people with it? Like, what's kind of the deal with that?
Yeah, you can run up and club someone because it's pretty much the mercy rule because, you know, there's a respect thing. You're not going to fire at someone if they're within 10, 15 feet of you, right? Because, I mean, chances are it's going to hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So you give them a mercy. You can say mercy. And a lot of fields, once you say mercy, the person's out. Or there's the optional mercy rule where he doesn't have to take it. He can turn around and fire at you if he chooses to, right? But normally anyone gives you a mercy, you take the mercy. But then it was that you'd have to touch the guy. If you were that close, you'd touch him with the end of your gun or your marker. And then he'd be out. There's not even ifs, ands, or buts, right? You can't be like, oh, mercy, he doesn't take it. If you touch him, he's out. So a lot of people were like, huh. So if you got to touch him with something, they started using rubber knives. Or I seen even a guy with a mop. He used a mop. He had a horse head and a mop. And not only did he have a horse head and a mop, he had a GoPro on the mop. So he was running across the field with this mop jiggling around, and I watched him bunker like 5 guys when they weren't even looking. He snuck up behind them and just mopped them all in the back, and they're all out. So it's pretty much, yeah, that's where the melee weapons came from. It was because of the mercy rule. So now people just run up and they'll touch you with it, or they'll wave it in the air to see if somebody else has a melee weapon, and they'll run out into the field. Nobody shoots at anybody when there's a melee fight. That's the funniest part. It could be the most intense battle, but if 2 dudes run out with swords, everybody stops and lets them fight.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. It's good stuff.
That would definitely, I mean, I wouldn't be able to focus. I'd be like, yo, I want to watch this. What's going to happen here? Like,
oh, yeah.
That's because I wondered that. Like I said, I saw that club and I'm like, I mean, I don't imagine you're just running up to guys and just like smacking them in the face with it. Because like, I don't see how that would be allowed, but that would make sense. The mercy rule. If
you just run up and just touch them with it and they're out.
I mean, if you're at me, I'd just be like, yo, I'm out. Like, I'll walk off the field. I'm done. Like, I don't.
Oh, that's
the
thing. Yeah. If someone sees you with a shield, that my beard coming, my mask's all spiked out, and I'm running at them like, ah! And then, yeah, they're normally like, okay, I'm out.
You've got the mean tactical gear on and that. And they're just like, I don't need this problem, man. I don't need it.
Normally everyone's like, yo, we're following this guy, like sword or club and shield. Like, okay, this guy's the one to follow.
So it almost seems like that would be a very good advantage to have if you're going to get into paintballing, is to learn that kind of that melee style. To me, that seems almost the most logical strategy. And I'm sure there's probably some types of games that it's not as logical, but if you're doing like a scenario where you're escorting someone or something, I would imagine that's probably the best way to go.
Yeah, it works good in the buildings. Once you're out in the open field, you better get ready to use the shield, and then you can only use it for so long till you get pinned to the ground.
Yeah, then they just
cover your shield and you can't see through it. I've had that. Actually, the last game, 2 guys did that to me. I didn't even notice they were in front of me. They had half the team just like unload into the shield, so I got to stop it all. But then the shield's covered and I can't see through it. And then someone just ran up on it and just tagged me with the tip of their gun. And I'm just like, oh. You got me, bud. Please take your finger out the trigger.
Have you ever had
Like,
you ever had an incident where a guy was kind of like, I mean, from what I gather from what you've said and that, like, it seems like the community is all great, but like, have you ever had a situation where like, you're like, okay, buddy, you got me, and then someone kind of does that little not cool move where they shoot you point blank or something?
oh yeah, a few times it's happened.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my buddies, I didn't know at the time. We were talking about telling a story. He has this old time pistol that he uses, and I was like, "Oh man, I've seen that before." This guy one time, I was on my team and everything, and he came around the corner and he point blanked me right in the stomach with it, and it was like a huge bruise. And he's like, "Dude, that was you?" And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Dude, look." And I had this thing written on the side of it. I forget what it said, but I'm like, "Oh my God, it was you." And we just laugh forever because now he's on my team.
Of course,
So he's
yeah.
like, I didn't know, like, I think it was a year and a half prior, he was actually the guy. And then, of course, he's laughing about it. When I get home, he sends the clip because I guess he had his GoPro and shows me and my brother. He comes around the corner and just pops me in the belly. Like, "Oh, it's a team kill." We're all just sitting there laughing. It's the funniest video, but it's funny because now he's on the team. So
That's hilarious.
yeah,
Oh, geez.
it was a good one too.
That's awesome. So I mentioned a little bit ago about the mean tactical gear. So I kind of wanted to ask a little bit about that. How did kind of that whole thing come into play? Like, I know obviously you're a big proponent of that, as well as with the actual mean tactical team. So kind of talk me through that a little bit, because I've always been curious about that.
Well, yeah, it's like what I was saying with my chick's kind of my girlfriend or wife there started it all, right? So once we started getting back into it, we're like, see all these big teams, and we're like, yo, we could make a big team, right? And we already had the mean clothing thing going at the time, so it's like kind of a no-brainer. We did up a logo for Paintball / the mean logo, all kind of in one, and made Mean Tactical. We were going to do something before with Mean Tactical, but then I kind of like, I'm going to use Mean Tactical. So I called the team Mean Tactical. Everybody already loved, because I used to set up the clothing booths there at a couple events. Everyone was loving it. So I was like, all right, it's kind of a no-brainer. Just made the Mean Tactical paintball team. So a division of Mean Clothing.
Absolutely. Division of Mean Clothing. Yeah. Well, and it seems like such a good fit too, just for that world with, like when I was first introduced to the Mean brand, it's like, it's very, military, and it's very like, I was looking at some of that tactical gear, and I'm like, I mean, I would never use this, but like, it looks sick, and it lends itself so well to what you do. Like, again, I was mentioning earlier about that shield, you've got that Mean Tactical on the shield, and it just lends itself so well to that whole world. So
yeah, it's one of those logos, right? It just like pops, and you can't miss it once you see it. So it's kind of like, it kind of like sinks into your brain once you've seen it once.
Yeah, it's definitely something that for sure does. So as far as the group, like, is there, like, when you go to an event with the Mean Tactical group, like, is it always the same people? Is there kind of like people who rotate in and out of the group, or is it pretty much always the same group of people that are going to these events?
Well, yeah, a lot of time it's mostly, I kind of grew the team like huge, kind of. Well, I don't know how, like, I think we're kind of one of the biggest. There's another team now, it's kind of growing massive, but I kind of spread it out amongst the fields that we do play. So I'll have like 10 guys over there in this city. I'll have a couple guys in this city, and we always try to come together on whenever we have an event. But it's really difficult, especially when I know that a lot of the smaller teams, I mean, if you lose a couple guys that can't make it, that's like half your team, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of made it bigger than that. So I always kind of have 15 to 20 guys all the time. And then the other, so if we do all end up coming together, then we're just like a huge, massive force on the field, right? With like 40 guys, and girls. So we have both on our team. The girls play just as hard as the guys on my team. So it's hilarious.
Oh, for sure. And it's not like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, they have a girl on their team. Oh, they're going to suck. It's like, man, sometimes.
Well, yeah, they're frontliners, man.
Yeah. They do not give a crap.
No.
Just run in there. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, especially nowadays, when it seems so silly, the fact I'm even going to say this, but like, there are still people out there that are like, oh, like, you fight like a girl or whatever. And it's like, man, listen, like I know some pretty tough freaking women in my life, and like I wouldn't cross them, so I wouldn't even want to imagine getting on a paintball field
Oh, it's the best too, because a lot of people, like, it goes two ways, right? A lot of people are complaining because, like, you know, the wives or girlfriends don't really understand the paintball thing, right? So they might like harp on you and give you a hard time. I mean, my wife's out there playing with me, and I thought she was going to be like get hit and be like, oh, you know, or whatever. I just watched her get dropped, just like, and she's down, and boom, she gets back up and she chases him down, and I was just like, wow, like it unleashed like a part. I was like, you go, babe, you go.
And that's got to be cool to see that. It's just like okay, that's pretty amazing. Sweet to watch.
Yeah. I mean, and then all the couples you see out there playing together, I mean, it's awesome. My one buddy, he plays with his wife all the time, and I mean, he'll be holding down a bunker, and then she's like comes out of nowhere, runs in, slides, gives them paint, you know, and they just hold down the bunker, drop a whole bunch more, run off together. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get my chick here like ASAP. And then last year I got her there for the final game of the year. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. As far as like when you like, I know something that is obviously important to you is bringing people into the sport of paintballing. Is that something that's like you're kind of really proactive with? Like if you maybe happen to see someone on Facebook who you have a connection with somehow that's like, oh, I'd love to try paintballing. Do you like kind of maybe go out of your way to be like, hey, you should come like play with us and kind of invite them to?
Oh yeah, and then it's always like, oh, I don't have gear, and I don't want to rent like, because then they get intimidated kind of when they see where we play and stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And that's how I was like right away. I was playing at some little tiny field with my friends, and then when I got to this place for like a big game of like 1,000 people, so it's like 500 versus 500. I'm like, I don't think we're ready. That's like the big time. And then when we get there, right, you're like, oh man, this is amazing. Everyone's super awesome, and like it's just a great flow of everything. It's like right on. But so every time anyone like feels that way, it's just like, no, you gotta go. Like for what you pay for that kind of weekend, it's like you wouldn't find that somewhere else. Like it's just amazing. So I'll always be like, no, don't worry about it. If you don't want to rent stuff, everyone on my team always has something extra. They'll whip you together. They'll Frankenstein you a marker in no time, and they'll get you out there.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's building that team and building that. If it's someone who, is like not very confident and they're kind of shy about it, it's like, no, like here's something, get in there and give it a go. And that's definitely, even though I'm not involved in the community at all or anything, I can definitely, see that and respect the hell of that, because it's super important, especially in this day and age, to try and, if you see a way you can help someone maybe break out of their shell a little bit with something, especially something like paintballing where you're, like, I mean, it's super appealing to me because I'm like, I mean, I'd be a really easy target, but like, it's like, it would be something cool to do one day. I know that my fiance's brother, he's like, I want to go paintballing one day. I'm like, let's do it. And I'm like, I said to him, man, once we get a couple games under our belt, I said, I know a guy. We'll hook up and do a couple games or something.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, paintball has everybody, man. There's little kids out there. There's girls. There's guys. There's old people. I mean, everybody's out there playing. It's awesome. Especially when you see the parents out there with their kids, right? That's like the best part of it.
Oh, for sure. And especially like the generation. And it's like, if someone who's been, playing for a long time and they maybe see someone who's like, doesn't really know what they're doing. It's like, hey, like, maybe try this or try that, or it just seems like a very cool community. So it's awesome to hear that is basically everything you've been saying to me so far, that it's just confirming these thoughts I had about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, people go, like little kids go there all the time, and I mean that's like one of the biggest things about paintball, and like newcomers that come, and like so they like those any renters here, right? Because obviously if you go out and rent paintball gear, I mean you don't normally play, right? So you're kind of getting into it, or you're a kid, you just came with like your older brother or something like that. But the paintball community always comes together, and they always like kind of bring these kids up to the front, and they always give them like, here's a new marker for you. Here's a mask, here's a case of paint. Here's entry for next time you come out. It's great. Just always make sure they come back, right? Because, I mean, it's like so great. So you don't ever want anyone to ever leave paintball not thinking that they're going to come back. So everyone always bands together to kind of make sure that when you leave a paintball game, you're like, oh man, I cannot wait to do that again, right? That's the whole part of it, as from what I gathered from the whole thing. I mean, I've never left a paintball game. I never even wanted to leave a game. And when I do, there's not a chance that I didn't ever want to go back.
Well, that's awesome. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's all about having fun. And, there's enough, bull crap in life and that you got to have something to do that's an escape to kind of, let off some steam in a healthy way. And I think that, paintballing is definitely seems like a very great way to do that and a very fun way to do that.
No, yeah, that's how we tell everyone that joins the team too. Because it's like, oh, well, what do we got to do to join your team? I'm like, you just got to pass the campfire test, man. And they're like, what's the campfire test? I'm like, well, you hang out with us all night. And if we still think you're cool in the morning, you're on the team. Just like, be cool, man. We don't stress about them. We're just here to play. Like, we all got lives and jobs, and when we come here, we're not going to pay to have a bad time. You're paying. That's what you're doing. You're paying to have fun. So why would you ever leave not having a good time, right? It kind of would be a waste of your time and your money. So it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, if you're
a lot of people, sometimes there's a couple bad apples, like there is in everything.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna get those bad apples anywhere in the world, no matter how hard you try. So it's, but that's awesome, man. That it seems like such a wonderful community. And speaking on that, I mentioned earlier about the event coming up on June 15th. So I wanted to talk about that. That is, of course, the Fight for Sick Kids. But before we do that, Matt, I want to take a quick second to give a big shout out to my friend, Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts, a proud sponsor of The Harder Show. If you guys are in need of any kind of ad work, logos, business stationery, mailers, fine art, album covers, t-shirts, tattoo designs, anything you can imagine that is art related or digital art related, my man Jaybird can hook you up. Doesn't matter what your budget is, he will create something unique for you that you will be absolutely thrilled with. I guarantee it. He has never, ever let me down. We have the kind of relationship where I will literally could give him a picture on a napkin and go, I want this. And it will be the crappiest drawing you've ever seen. And he will make it just look fantastic. Exactly the way I pictured it is the way it looks when he sends it to me. And you will have that kind of relationship with him as well, because that's just how good he is. So don't mess around with anyone else. Go on jaybirddigitalarts.com today. That's JAYBIRD digitalarts.com. Let him know that your boy Hyde sent you, and he'll give you an even better price on top of the great prices he already has. And did I mention the fact that this guy never freaking sleeps, and his turnaround time is absolutely amazing? Don't mess around with anyone else. Contact my dude Jaybird today. So walk me through a little bit about this, the Fight for Sick Kids event, and as far as kind of how that whole thing came to be.
Yeah, so it's Fight for Sick Kids. It's going to be out in is it Melbourne, Ontario, which is I guess just west of London, at Adrenaline Paintball. So my buddy and me, it's actually like we're both it's personal to us to be part of the Sick Kids thing. We both have just like anybody, have someone who's been to Sick Kids and been a part of their lives, right? So we just wanted to give back, see what we can do as a paintball community to kind of come together, have a game, get some prizes together, see if we can do something to raise money to help sick kids, right? Because they need it. So if we can do something together as a group, we might as well. So my buddy Joseph, he's been really good. He organized the event, I guess, with the guys from Adrenaline Paintball, and we're gonna have a great time. I get to battle a buddy of mine who's normally on our side all the time, but now this time we get to go against them. So my buddy Sean, it should be a good event. He's more of an old school player too, so he always has some sort of interesting marker that's like a blast from the past. It should be a pretty good time.
That's awesome. So there's going to be two teams, and it's my understanding you are the general of the one team, and then he's general of the other team.
Yeah.
So in that, just because this is just my own curiosity at this point. So if you're in game and say someone is able to get to you and take you out, is that like game over immediately, or is it just kind of like you're just kind of leading the charge basically?
Yeah, kind of. Okay. I get whoever the event is, they run the missions to me, or however. I'm not sure how this one's going to go. It's kind of based on how the scenario is. I think this one they were saying it's like a 24 flag scenario, so I'm guessing it's like a command and conquer kind of deal. Take the areas and progress through the field that way. But for the most part, when you're general, you're just relaying the mission, sending people where you need them to fight for you, and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly how this one's going to go, but for the most part, yeah. And it's not, if they get me, that's sometimes a mission. Like if I'm on an escort mission, they might be on the same kind of mission, but theirs is to take me out. That's sometimes how it goes. So we'll see how this one goes.
Very good. So I'll be definitely curious to see how that turns out. Here, see, I'm sure there's going to be some pretty gnarly pictures and that going on. So that is June 15th. Again, the date for that. And so the admission, which from my notes I have, it's a $90 admission plus 2,000 paintballs. So that admission, so that gets someone to play in the actual game itself, correct?
Yeah, that gets you in the game, and then the 2,000 paintballs, that's a case. So that's how many come in a case. So you get a case of paint, and then admission to the game for 90, and then a percentage of that's being taken out for the sick kids donations. So.
Awesome. And then there's going to be, I think you mentioned to me earlier before we started, some raffles as well, correct?
Yeah, they're going to be doing a bunch of prizes and giveaways. And then there's a bunch of, I think, bigger ticket items. I think they might be doing an auction or some sort of raffle. Anything we can do to raise money. So I know there's a bunch of good prizes and giveaway stuff. So that'll be another awesome thing for anyone who wants to come out and get some good stuff. So.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I know there's going to be some sweet prizes. So if you have any interest in paintballing, and even if you've never done it before and you've listened to this chat so far and you're like, man, this kind of sounds like it'd be fun, you should definitely check it out and get into it, because it definitely even just going to is it like something you can go and just watch, I would assume, correct, if you want to just kind of spectate?
Yeah, depending on where, like on the field, because a lot of it you can see through some, but you wouldn't see most of the event, right? I mean, you can watch. There's parts in some of the games that you can just go and watch, but just to come down and be a part of it is always it's always as fun in the parking lot as it is on the field. Maybe a little more on the field, but you can come and have a good time, and it's the same.
Oh, for sure, definitely, and it definitely is a wonderful event, and I'm sure that I speak for lots of people in the world when they're grateful for people like yourself and your friends and your team that put this whole thing together, and that are raising awareness for as well, aside from just raising money, because it's something that a lot of people probably don't really think about, as far as like, oh well, I don't have a sick kid, what's the big deal about that? But there's so many people in the world that like you said, I mean, it's touched yourself personally, and I know that I've had people
I know
in my
family,
friend
here is my buddy Joseph. I think he's still dealing with it too, so I know it's really important to him. That's why he put all this together, and he does a lot for the paintball community. Actually, the more I find out about this guy, the more I'm impressed by what he does. So
that's awesome. Yeah, definitely seems like a great guy. So that it has an event page on Facebook, correct?
Yeah, it's there's an event page, and then there's also it's set up on a Adrenaline Paintball page as well.
Okay, awesome.
And they also have separate donation sheets if anyone wants to just go directly through the sick kids. There's pledge forms available on the Adrenaline site as well.
Awesome, very good. So if you want to have some support, otherwise, definitely seems like you could do that. So that's awesome, and it's definitely like that was the whole reason why I think you tagged me in a comment or something for the last event you did or something like that, and you were like, oh, I should do someone that could give it a shout out. And I was like, screw that, just come on the show and we'll talk about it, because I've been wanting to. I've been kind of, I always look for an excuse to just be like, let's come on and talk and just hang out. And so I
just gave it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, just come on and do it. It's a lot better for me to get someone on to talk about the event in question than just, my dumbass sitting there. So anyway, there's going to be a paintball event. It's cool.
I'm always down to talk paintball. I could talk paintball forever. Lots and lots of paintball stories.
Oh, for sure. So I have kind of a stupid question, and then I would love to, possibly maybe hear some of those paintball stories. But seeing as you are, a mean-bearded individual, at some point I had to bring this up, of course. Is it not an issue if you get paint in your beard? Like, is that not like a pain in the ass, or does it come out pretty easily?
It comes out pretty easy. I mean, it's oil, right? So it's pretty greasy.
Okay.
I mean, well, I don't know how much oil anymore. I mean, it used to be a lot of oil, but anywho, yeah, it's by like the end of the day, my beard's pretty gross. I've had people run up and they're like, "Dude, you have like full paintballs stuck in your beard." I'm like, "No way, don't touch it, man. Leave it in there. It's there for the ride now." They're like, "It's part of me. Just leave it."
It's part of the look, bro.
Yeah, it's part of the look, man. I'm supposed to look greasy and gross. It's funny too because when I take the mask off, I got the permanent like mask line like right under the jawline.
Oh,
so
no.
it's like my beard's like crimped against my face and then like flares out at the bottom. It's just full of paint. It's like photographers stay away from me at the end of an event. Always catch that one, and you're like, oh,
Jeez,
that's a bad shot.
Yeah, it's like in the beginning, you know, like there was the picture that you sent me actually to use for the promo pic for this podcast. It was like you're standing and you have your full gear on, and you just look like an absolute badass. You have like a smoke grenade, and I'm like, yo, that's sick. But it's funny to hear at the end of the game. It's like, that guy's got some paintball stuff in his beard, and like, okay, we're gonna stay away from him today.
Yeah, especially when we go to like run into town after the game or something, and people, I mean, most of them know that we're there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now it's a small town out in Picton, but then they just look at you and you're just like, oh, did you have fun? Like, oh yeah. And then you look at yourself in the mirror because you're like, why did they say that? You look and you're like, oh,
there's a paintball in my beard. Oh, right on.
I look kind of rough.
It's like getting food in the beard, but it's like a whole other level of just a paintball chilling in your beard.
Yeah. I always got to bring my brush and oils because, yeah, at the end of the day, you got to get that out quick.
So what would you do to get that out? Because I mean, you know, I'm always curious about people's beard care routines and that. So I do want to ask about that before I ask about maybe some gnarly paintball stories. But what do you do like to get that out? Like, do you kind of have like a basic routine you do after a game, or?
Yeah, I just grab my brush and a bottle of water and just brush all that paint out. Which I realize now, once you do that, that brush is now a paintball brush forever. So I got my own paintball brush now that it's only for paintball because it's just stained filthy with like green and yellow and orange. But yeah, I just brush it out, throw water in there, brush it out, throw the oil and whip on, and woo, good to go.
What are you using for what scent are you using for the oil? Of course, we know what brand of oil you're using, but which of course is mean.
No, just using the gun smoke
right on
right now.
Yeah, that's my I'll talk mean beard all day, but yeah, that's my my bread and butter is the gun smoke oil, and the mean whip is can never go wrong with that. I figured you probably threw some mean whip in after, but I was curious about that.
Oh yeah, I gotta have the mean whip. Gives that shape back, right? The oil makes it nice and soft, but then it's all like you just conditioned it or something. So it's all like, poof. So I always throw the mean whip in there to bring it all back down normal.
Awesome. Very good. So I'm curious to hear, like, you gotta have some gnarly stories. Like, what's like some of the craziest things you've seen on a paintball field?
I've seen a guy in a skin tight bodysuit. And then I've seen some crazy shit at night games. I mean, it's paintball, you never know what you're gonna see. I mean, it's hilarious. I've seen people running through gunfire in a Speedo. That's probably the craziest thing I've seen at a paintball game. And watching him just get lit up. I mean, it was an epic fail. It was not good.
That would be extreme. Would that not be extremely painful? Like, I understand the adrenaline and all that. Like, that's all well and good. But like, because I think it's because I have like, you know, I think I was like in high school, and like the high school senior pranks. You know, they always do. One guy came in with a paintball gun and just lit everybody up in the hallway.
Oh.
And like, so like that was my first experience getting shot with a paintball gun, and I was not expecting it. You know, I'm like sitting with my back turned to the door, playing my guitar, all brooding and so forth. And all of a sudden I just get lit up by like 2 or 3 shots from a paintball gun on my back. And I'm just like, what? Have I been shot? Like, what the hell just happened?
Oh,
and, it was the worst, the absolute worst. See,
those are the bad apples I was talking about.
Yeah.
Those are the bad apples of the paintball world.
Yeah, it's like, it was just not a play. It's like after that, I was like, oh, I had like these, and like he didn't even space it out. It was like one area he shot me 3 times, and I had this big bruising welt that basically just joined into one big one, and I was like, oh geez, this is not a good day for me. And
Oh.
at first I thought he got it on the guitar too, so I like chased him and I was like, I'm gonna kick your ass. And
No, baby.
you're gonna pay for this guitar, man. Jeez. Oh man, that's that Speedo though. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. And I mean, the bodysuit guy was, because he came running full speed like he was on top of the world, made everybody stop and look what he's doing. Then he didn't make it. He tripped, fell, landed on his face, got shot a whole bunch. He got up like a champ, gave another last woo, but by then the damage was done.
Oh yeah. You get lit up like that, it's like there's no coming back from that. I gotta imagine.
Because he came in guns blazing, just running full speed, woo, and then tripped, fell, landed on his face. Oh, do the scorpion, where your feet touch the back of your head.
Jeez. You just sit there for a second. It's like, okay, that sucked. All right, let's go.
Yeah, it's always a great chuckle, man. Everyone's like, "Yo, you all right?" And as soon as you hear, "Yeah," then you get to laugh, right?
Yeah. It's funny.
As long as you're good, we're all gonna laugh at you.
Yeah, it's that split second, like, you okay, bro? I give you the thumbs up. That was hilarious. It's like that.
I always think about that guy because I've fallen, and every time I fall running, like leading a charge or just running with like my brother next to me or something, every time I fall and I feel my feet touch the back of my head, I think about that guy in the pink bodysuit. It's like, I feel your pain, brother. I've been there now.
Oh man, that's great. So playing it, Nick, you mentioned playing at nighttime. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's got to be a whole other level of paintball and playing at night. Is it like a lot more difficult playing at night, or would you say it's kind of still the same level of? Oh
no, it's totally crazy. I didn't even know it was a thing either. And someone's like, "Yo, night game," and I'm like, "What? That's a thing?" Like, absolutely. Hang on a second. Let me get my stuff. And then, yep. It was at the place I'm telling you about in Picton there, the PRZ Paintball. The Insane Asylum military base. You get to play night game. And it's basically like a string of rope work lights, and everything else is pitch black.
Oh, but then obviously you can't hang out in the light so you can see, because if you hang out in the light too long...
Oh yeah, it's bad news because everyone can see you inside, but you can't see outside the windows. So when you look out, if you're inside, they see you perfectly, right? And then if you go to look out the window, you see nothing but blackness.
Until you see.
There's people with night vision and everything at these places. So
seriously, jeez. That seems like, to me, like I'm just, I have a very inexpensive hobby with podcasting, so it's like I'm like, okay, yeah, spend a little bit of money on guns. Like, I get that, we do what makes you happen. I'm like, night vision, like, jeez. But if you're playing, that would be pretty sweet if you're running through and it's like you got your night vision and you just take someone out. It's like, I'm sure that would be next level cool.
Oh, it's crazy cool. My buddy was laying in the grass and he actually had like a good night vision scope, and people were like stepping like right over top of him, and he's just like plink, plink, plink. And they don't even know where it's coming from. It's like he's got a ghillie suit on, like you don't even see him.
Jeez. So is that common in night games, you would say, like to have people who are kind of like they're hiding and they're basically just sniping people?
Oh, yeah, because you go in all tough till you realize you can barely see anything. There's friendly fire, all kinds, because it's only armbands, right? Like, if you look down the hall and there's, like, some shadow coming at you, you're just going to shoot it and say sorry if it's a teammate.
Shoot the guy. What the hell, man? Sorry, bro.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So in that situation, like, that guy would be out, right? Like, he'd have to go and respawn?
Yeah. Because, it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's team fire, I've noticed." And they're like, "Oh, we're on the same team, it's okay." And they just move on, right? And then the other people are like, "Oh, no. Like, if someone's team kills me, I'm going to walk back. Because if it was real, I'd be done. So I'll be a sport like that. I'll walk back. But yeah, some people are just like, "Oh, it's a team one, don't worry."
It's like, no, man, you got shot. Like,
yeah,
this was like, real, man. You'd be getting.
I'm still talking right now.
We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Don't break character. Go back to spawn. You're out. Get out of here.
Gotta play a character, bro. Come on now.
I know. Don't ruin it.
Don't ruin.
But yeah, normally a lot of people they'll just find a good dark corner, hide and wait. I've done it before. There's like a closet, but it's looking into like out the door in the room into the hallway, so I can hear voices coming. I just close the closet door, Just put the tip of my pistol out of it and just wait. I see 2 guys pass the door, 3 more pass the door, and you're kind of waiting for the last guy, right? Because you don't want to pop out in the middle.
Because then you got to go behind.
Yeah, let the other ones go by, and then pop, pop, pop. Well, I get the one guy. He comes into the room, like checking for paint, and he's lit up, so I know he's out. He's not going to get me. But now he's in my room. I'm like, oh, no. I had to pop out of the closet. This guy jumped so high in the air because he didn't know I was there. He assumed he got shot out in the hallway. Comes rushing into my room, check himself, get cleared up before he walks out with his hand up. And I pop out of the closet to get his other buddies. And, oh, man, he was terrified. It's like, oh, my God, because you're on edge the whole time you're in there.
Oh, of course. That would freak me out, too, man. I don't know if I could do that. I'd be like just a nervous wreck every time I'd see someone, I just light them up. Like I wouldn't even think twice. Just like, oh, God. I'd be like shooting shadows on the freaking wall. And like, oh.
Oh man, night games are the best. Even if you don't play them, you can just hear the action from like the campsite, right? Everyone's camping, you can just hear it going off, people yelling and screaming. Oh, sometimes they run them long because the night game's kind of as long as the refs want to stay out there, really. So people want to keep playing, the refs aren't tired. You can go till like 1 a.m.
Oh, gee. And then, I mean, you're camping there, right? So it's like, what's the...
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we can play longer? I'm going to get all my money's worth out of this. But it's basically like once you get hit, they give you these glow sticks. So you just turn your glow stick on. It's like a green LED glow stick or whatever. So it just blinks so people don't shoot you on your way out.
Because that would be the worst if you're walking out and you're already got hit and you're walking out and someone just smokes you. It's like that would piss me off so much if that happens.
Oh, that's why we have to give all the credit to the refs, right? Because the refs are standing, they just get lit up all day long, just walking into it. Oh, sorry, ref. They're just like, no problem. Meanwhile, inside, they're like, oh. Now they just yell, ref coming by. Ref coming by.
It's like, do not shoot me.
Yeah, same with photographers, man. They're like right in it, right?
I was curious about that too, because like I've seen some pretty cool action shots, and I'm like, man, like they wearing like a freaking media pass or something. Like, geez, I would. That's are they in full gear as well?
Don't shoot orange. That's normally the thing. Don't shoot orange. If you see orange, it's a ref or media. So I'm pretty sure it's kind of like that everywhere, but I'm not too sure about it. But I think it's starting to become a thing. Like they started making it now. Like if you're a team, you can't have certain fields. You can't. If your jersey's orange, you're not allowed to wear it because then people assume you're like a ref or something. So they're like major clothing can only have so much orange in it, like 10% or something like that. So people would stop wearing orange and then distracting people. So now if they just see it, they don't even risk it. They just shoot it. If it's a ref, they're like, "Oh, sorry, bud." Which kind of makes the ref's job harder. So I'm glad they started implementing that. You can't wear orange.
And I mean, assuming the ref, their job is to literally just make sure people who are getting hit are actually leaving, correct? That's kind of
make sure they get out, make sure people will let them out. Because, I mean, if you get hit in the middle of a huge gun battle between like 10 other people, right, and you can't get out because you're like, oh, if I step out, you're going to hit in the crossfire, right? So the ref always... Their job is to get in, make sure you're out. If you're out, make sure you get out safely, not hurt, right?
That's what I figured. Because I mean, is there any time where like there might be like a just like a fluke injury or anything at all with paintballing, or is it pretty like it seems like it's pretty safe aside from maybe like the occasional fall or something?
Yeah, that's normally the thing. Like dehydration, people drop all the time in some of the summer games. You're wearing all that gear and it's super hot, and then people forget to drink water. I don't know how that's still a thing, but they forget, and then they just drop. So there'll be a ceasefire. All the refs yell, barrel bags. You put your bag on the end of your marker, take a knee. Once that's all cleared up, everybody's back in play, and it just continues on from there. Or sometimes there's just people, because you can climb, well, not climb, but there's certain windows you can go up and through and stuff like that. And sometimes people twist their ankle or something like that. But yeah, anytime that happens, it's pretty quick that the refs just shut it down.
Yeah, it's not worth it if someone is legitimately hurt or they pass out or something. It's like, man, just cease fire, and it's not worth it.
Sometimes a mask flies off even.
That would be free. Yeah, that would be freaky.
It gets crazy out there.
That would be, and if you get hit in the face with one of those, I mean, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, it's bad news. You definitely don't want to get hit. So anytime that happens, like they fly, like players will dive on you instantly just to cover your face. Like nobody ever risks it. If they see a mask, like you'll get tackled by everybody and they'll cover you.
Yeah, for sure. Everyone dives on the guy. It's definitely good to hear that there's, that safety and camaraderie is on everybody's mind at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, man. You got to leave with the parts you came with. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that would not be. It's just I'm picturing some really bad stuff happening right now on the paintball field, and I'm not a fan of it.
No way, man! Don't let it scare you. It's the best.
So we're getting ready to wrap it up here, and I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and just kind of hang out and talk with me.
Yeah, man.
But I'm curious, just inquiring minds would like to know on my end, what is kind of your basic setup you run when you're going to the game? Like, what is the kind of like the basic equipment you're wearing, and what are you like? We know that you have your your shield and your club, but like, walk me through kind of like what else you personally use in your kind of loadout, so to speak.
Yeah, well, when I first started, I only had the one, and it's kind of like a tattoo, which you never get just one. So it just kind of kept growing piece by piece, and now I think I'm up to like 4 or 5 different markers. They're all different styles, and then I've been trying to tell my brother that he's got to start doing this. Run a light kit and a heavy kit. So I'll run the first day of the event, I'll have my bigger marker, my vest with all the paint on the back, my air on the back, all that stuff. But then when it's like the next day and you've done that all day, so I'll switch it up. I'll put my lighter vest on. I'll use the pistols and the mags as opposed to carrying all that weight, right?
Oh, for sure.
Just carrying a rifle all day in the sun with all the paint on your back, it's like, And then you always got to have 2 masks because the first mask is going to be soaked for the first day, and you're not going to want to put that in the trunk of your car for the night and then put it back on in the morning, right?
Yeah, that would not be pleasant.
Yeah, so I learned the hard way, trial and error. I kind of always run 2 different kits, and then depending on how much paint I shoot the one day, I'm probably going to switch it up, and that's why I run the shield a lot too. Shield, because you're always in the front line with a shield. And everybody's following the shield guy, so I'll still be doing a lot of work on the field, but I'm not using any paint.
Yeah, you're just like we were talking about earlier. Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, you're just kind of tagging guys if you go up to them with the mercy rule and that.
Yeah, I'll run up with a shield with like 5 guys behind me. I'll get them where they need to go. I'll get lit up, no medic, I'll go back to spawn. But it costs me no paint, and I just got a whole bunch of points, so that's normally how I run it. I have a heavy kit and a light kit.
Well, that's awesome. And as far as your like, say when you're running your light kit, like, I mean, as far as like the quote unquote protective equipment, is it pretty much the same? Like, you just have when you have your heavy set, is it like you have more 'cause like I've seen where you have like different vests and stuff like that, so like your heavy vest, I'm assuming it's going to cover obviously more of you, and then your light vest is obviously going to not cover as much, but it's lighter. Like, it seems like it's.
No, they're kind of the same. It's just what they carry, just different pockets, basically, right? So, like my heavy gear, it just basically holds all the pods of paint on my back, so I can carry like half a case on me at all times. Or when I use my pistols, I probably only have like 100 rounds.
But you're a lot quicker, of course, as well when you're.
Yeah, because I'm not held down. I'm not going to go running with my rifle.
Yeah, no, you just book it
jumping through windows and all that, running and sliding on your knees. No, that doesn't happen with the heavy kit. No,
that would be a sight to behold, though, if you were. I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it, but that's also I know not to do it anymore. It also makes you learn your age real quick.
Oh, geez. Yeah, it seems like one of those things where it's like. It's a really good idea to do this, and the next day you're like, oh crap, that was not a good idea to do.
Yeah, that guy could do it. That kid's 19. Oh, yeah, well, I could do it.
I could.
And you're like, oh man, I'm definitely in my 30s.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, Matt, I really appreciate you taking the time, man, to come and chat with me, and kind of I've learned a lot about the world of paintballing. So this has been a lot of fun for me, man.
Oh yeah, man! I'm gonna get you out there. I'll tell you that.
That's definitely, like I said, I'm serious. One of these days I'm gonna get my future brother-in-law. He wants to go, and he says he wants to go paintballing. I said, all right, let's do it. If Never been
We'll
before.
we'll get you on the team real quick.
Oh shit!
More the merrier. Bring anyone who wants to try.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, well, Matt, thanks very much, brother, and we'll definitely be talking to you again in the future.
Yeah, buddy, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, gang, so there you have it. My chat with Matt Stock, president of Mean Tactical and also sponsored ambassador for Mean Beard. One mean dude. Man, he's just a great guy. Anytime I talk with Matt, we always have a lot of fun in the chat, and he was definitely someone who was a great guest, and hopefully I'll have him on again sometime. I think that'll be a lot of fun just to have a beer with him and just have him on the show or something. I think that'd be a lot of fun, Matt. So if you're interested in that, you let me know. We'll set that up. Like to have fun here on the Harder Show, and I hope you had fun. And I hope maybe you will check out that event. That's the whole point of this, or you'll at least check out the sport of paintballing and the community. Hit Matt up and let him know. Say, hey, man, I want to get into paintballing. What should I do? Because I'm sure he would be more than happy to have you jump in with the Mean Tactical team, or he can give you the names of some local people to you. From me, he's a little bit of a gander, but maybe one day we can get my big ass out on the paintball field. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'd be a really, really easy target. So that would be just an absolute riot to see and just experience happening. I can only freaking imagine. So be sure again to check out the event on Facebook, as the Fight for Sick Kids. Again, that is happening June 15th, this Saturday. On top of that, also it is the Legends of Wrestling Convention and also Chinlock 5 this Saturday. So I'm gonna be a busy beaver, and it's gonna be stellar. I am so freaking excited for this weekend. I wish Matt and his team well on the Fight for Sick Kids event, and I'm sorry that I could not be there in person to at least cheer them on, as I had prior engagements with the Chinlock 5 show, but I know it's going to be stellar, and also a big shout out to the Chinlock family and team. It's going to be an absolutely stellar weekend. A lot of great stuff going on. So if you're looking for something to do, we got you covered here on the Harder Show with 2 great events going on you can go and be a part of. And, man, keep it locked on the Harder Show social media. We have the Facebook and Instagram, both under the Harder Show. Let me know. Also, I'm sure I'll be doing some Snapchatting while I'm there. So if you want to follow along to what I'm doing at the Chinlock event, be sure to follow me. It is Terrence James, Terrance, James, James. And you can follow along with what's going on. And I'm sure you'll see some familiar faces and hear some familiar voices. You know, I'm hoping I can get to have a few minute chat with Jan. That'd be a lot of fun. Not to actually meet him in person and shake his hand and, you know, just shoot the breeze with him a little bit. I'm very much looking forward to it now. So, getting to buy my man Jason Reese a drink. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's going to be a great night with the boys. Just a stellar time. And I hope you had a great time here on the show. Thank you so very much again for tuning in. It means the world to me. Regardless of how you listen to the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow, leave a like, leave a dislike, leave a comment, tell me how much I suck, share this. It doesn't matter. So long as you're interacting, that means the world to me. And thank you so very, very much. Because I do this for fun. I do this as a hobby, but knowing that there's interaction from you guys and interest from you guys really keeps me going. And it is super important for us to support creators. And I'm not necessarily talking about me. I'm talking about anyone in your life who does anything creative, or if they have a business, or if they have any kind of a service you can support. Do what you can to help them out, man. Because in this day and age, there's so much support for celebrities doing stuff that don't need the support, but then there's no support for people who really need the support. That's just my opinion, and I know it's kind of somewhat of an unpopular opinion for a creator to have, because people are like, oh, you're just jaded, and I'm like, nah, it's not jaded if it's true. But I like to end things off here on a positive note. So regardless, you are the best for listening. Thank you so much, especially listening to the end. You deserve a round of applause. Full round of applause. You can't see it, but I'm doing a round right now. And I'm way overtired, trying to go to bed. Thank you very much again for tuning in, and I will catch you next time on The Harder Show. Take it easy, guys.